Hey everyone, and welcome back. We're diving into the world of industrial cooks today.
Oh, interesting.
We've got a whole bunch of career guides from RoleCatcher to dig into.
Okay.
And yeah, we're really excited to sort of uncover what this career path is all about.
Yeah, most people, when they think about cooking, they don't really think about what goes on behind the scenes for large-scale food production,
Right.
like all the industrial processes.
Yeah, it's not something you think about in your day-to-day life. So,
Right.
like, for our listeners out there who are curious, what does an industrial cook actually do?
So it's actually a lot more than just cooking,
Right.
like on a larger scale, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's also like you're perfecting recipes
Mm.
so they're consistent across thousands of units.
Wow.
And then you have to think about the science behind how these ingredients react, at scale.
Right.
And you also want to make sure that, those delicious meals or snacks or whatever have a decent shelf life.
Yeah, you don't want them going bad after a day.
Exactly.
So you're not just a chef, then you're also like a food scientist.
Yeah, precisely.
Yeah.
An industrial cook needs like a really solid grasp of food science principles
Okay.
because they're responsible for making sure the food is safe and the quality is good throughout that entire production process.
Right, makes sense.
So that means understanding things like HACCP.
What's that?
It stands for Hazard Analysis and Critical Control Points.
Okay.
And it's basically a system to figure out and control any possible hazard in food production.
Oh, so that's to stop contamination and make sure it's safe to eat.
Exactly.
I've definitely seen those headlines about food recalls, and that's not good press.
No, not at all. And that's why that attention to detail and those safety protocols are such a critical part of the job.
Yeah, for sure. So we're talking about large-scale recipe development and food science and really strict safety standards. What about the actual day-to-day work environment? What's it like?
So industrial kitchens are usually really fast-paced and demanding.
Okay.
You're working with large equipment, you have strict deadlines, and you're coordinating with a whole team.
So it sounds like you need a certain type of personality to really thrive in that kind of environment.
Yeah, you got to be able to handle pressure, multitask really well, and work well with others.
Yeah, be a team player.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's also a super rewarding field for anyone who's passionate about food and has that, knack for the technical side of food production.
Yeah, I get that. The RoleCatcher guides mention a 5% projected growth rate for industrial cooks over the next, decade.
Yeah, it's a growing field.
That's pretty impressive.
What's driving that demand?
Well, I mean, people are always going to need to eat,
True.
but the food industry itself is changing. Consumers are more careful than ever.
Okay.
They're looking for convenient and high-quality food.
That makes sense.
So you need skilled professionals who can make and produce those products.
Right. And we're seeing a huge increase in things like plant-based food and sustainable ingredients.
Yeah, exactly. Consumers are becoming more aware, I guess you could say, of what they're eating and how it affects their health and the environment.
Yeah, definitely.
And then that's led to a higher demand for industrial cooks who can create those really innovative and delicious products that people are looking for now.
It's not just about, keeping up with trends. It's about using food science to make delicious and sustainable food for everyone.
It really seems like the role of an industrial cook is changing so much, especially with all these new consumer trends.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not just about making a lot of food anymore.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
about making food that's innovative and really adapting to what people want.
And that's what makes it so exciting. You can really have an impact on how we eat now and in the future.
Yeah, I can see that. So let's say someone's listening to us right now and thinking, this sounds like the perfect job for me. What should they do to actually get started?
Well, a good place to start is with a solid foundation.
Okay.
So having some kind of formal culinary training is definitely a plus. It shows employers the basics.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But more than that, practical experience is key.
So getting some real life experience, even if it's not like a head chef position right away.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like starting as a line cook in a food production facility.
Okay.
That gives you the chance to learn everything from the ground up, master those techniques, and get comfortable with the equipment.
Right, because those industrial ovens, I bet they're a lot different than what people have at home.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm.
It's a whole other world. Think about it like this. Baking one sheet of cookies versus baking hundreds at once.
Wow, yeah.
Industrial ovens are made for consistency and volume.
Okay.
They use things like rotating racks or conveyor belts to make sure everything cooks evenly, even when you're making a ton of it.
So there's a lot to learn even beyond just the cooking part.
Right.
What about moving up in this field? What skills do you need to become like a manager or a leader?
Well, as you progress, leadership and management skills become super important.
Makes sense.
You might be in charge of a whole team of cooks, making sure you meet deadlines and sticking to those strict quality control standards.
So it's not just recipes you're managing anymore, it's people too.
Exactly. And that's where certifications can really help you stand out.
Okay.
Like becoming a Serve-Safe food protection manager. It shows that you're serious about food safety and you understand the rules, especially in those large production environments.
So you're proving you have those extra skills.
Right.
But how do you actually show off your skills to employers? How do you stand out when there's so much competition?
Yeah, a regular resume might not be enough. You need to go beyond just listing your experience.
So what do you do instead?
You need to show them your passion and expertise. And that's where a platform like RoleCatcher can be a game changer.
Okay, I'm interested. Tell me more.
Imagine you're looking at job postings and you see an opening for a plant-based food production chef. Sounds perfect, right?
Yeah, that's a hot field right now.
But how do you make your application stand out from the crowd?
Yeah, I'm guessing I make a great veggie burger isn't going to cut it.
Probably not. But that's where RoleCatcher comes in.
Okay.
You can upload your resume to their platform, and their AI analyzes it.
What does that mean, analyzes it?
So it looks at your skills and keywords and compares them to the specific things they're looking for in that job description.
Oh, wow.
It's like having your own personal brand consultant.
That's pretty cool. So it's not even just about having the skills anymore. It's about knowing how to present them in the right way.
Exactly. You have to think about those AI screening tools that everyone's using now.
That makes sense.
RoleCatcher can help you tailor your resume and even your online presence to highlight those exact skills that employers are looking for.
So it's like RoleCatcher is taking all the guesswork out of applying for jobs online. That's got to be less stressful, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And it's not even just that.
What else?
They have this huge database of interview questions.
Okay.
And they're not just like general questions either. They're specific to being an industrial cooker.
So you could practice answering things like, how would you fix an industrial mixer if it broke down or something like that?
Exactly. Or like, how do you make sure the food is consistent when you're making so much of it? You know, those kinds of questions.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
But here's the best part. You can actually record yourself answering those questions.
Oh, wow.
And then their AI gives you feedback on how you did, like how you spoke, what you said, even your body language.
So like having your own personal interview coach.
Right. It's all about being prepared.
Yeah, that extra practice can make a big difference.
Definitely. You know, we've been talking a lot about large-scale food production.
Right.
But it made me think about how being an industrial cook is different in smaller businesses, like those artisan food places.
Yeah, that's a good point. What do you think?
Well, I think the basic skills and knowledge are still important,
Okay.
but the focus is different. It's more about craftsmanship
Right.
and using traditional techniques.
And probably working with local ingredients.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the career paths can be just as rewarding too, maybe even more for some people.
So instead of working in a huge factory, you could be like the head baker at a local bakery.
Exactly. Or you could even start your own line of fancy food products.
So it's like the same ingredients, but a totally different recipe for success.
I like that analogy because it shows how many different opportunities there are in this field.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
So if you're listening to this and you love food and you're thinking about making it your career, I hope this deep dive has given you a good taste of what it takes to be an industrial cook.
It's a really interesting and growing field, and there's so much potential out there.
And don't forget about resources like RoleCatcher. They can be super helpful when you're looking for a job and trying to improve your skills.
Absolutely.
So good luck out there, everyone. We can't wait to see what you cook up.